It was a test, cruel, calculated, and cold. In the silence of a marble-floored mansion, beneath a glittering chandelier and the soft ticking of an antique clock, a safe stood wide open in the master's study. Inside, bundles of cash lay stacked like green bricks of temptation, glinting beside ropes of gold and diamonds. He knew she would pass through here. He knew her schedule down to the minute. The man, a millionaire twice over, stood hidden just beyond the hallway arch, eyes narrowed not with anger but with quiet anticipation. And yet, as he watched his housemaid enter the room and pause before the open safe, he never imagined that what would unfold in the next few minutes would utterly unravel him, breaking open a heart he didn't know he still had. If you believe in second chances, in the quiet power of kindness, and in the strength of character that can change lives, then pause right now. Like this video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and share this story. Let the world hear that integrity still exists in places where no one's watching. The housemaid's name was Camila, 32, slender, reserved, with deep brown eyes that held the weight of stories she never told. She had been working in the Ashworth estate for just over 7 months. A widow with 2 young daughters and a mother battling cancer, Camila was the kind of woman who moved silently through pain. Every morning, she arrived before sunrise, tying her dark hair back into a bun, slipping into her simple uniform, and beginning her tasks without complaint or hesitation. To most, she was invisible, a shadow behind silver trays and polished marble. But to Alexander Ashworth, the reclusive millionaire who had inherited wealth but never earned peace, Camila was a mystery that had begun to haunt him. Alexander had spent most of his life building and protecting his empire. People had stolen from him, betrayed him, used him. His ex-wife took a fortune in the divorce. Former employees siphoned funds. Friends turned opportunists. And so, he built walls, steel ones around his vault and emotional ones around his heart. When Camila arrived, there was something different about her. She didn't flatter. She didn't ask questions. She never lingered in rooms longer than she had to. And she was, by every record and background check, painfully clean. It bothered Alexander, the way her honesty felt almost threatening, too pure to trust. That's when he devised the test. One Wednesday morning, just before she was scheduled to dust the study, Alexander arranged the safe to be left wide open. He had instructed his security team to disable the hallway cameras temporarily. No one would know this moment happened, except him. He wanted to see what Camila would do when faced with unimaginable temptation. Would she falter? Would she take? Or was she truly as unshakable as she appeared? Camila entered the room exactly at 8:42 a.m. She didn't notice the safe at first, not until the sunlight hit the steel door and bounced a glare across the polished floor. She stopped mid-step, her duster frozen in her gloved hand. Her eyes went to the safe, then quickly to the hallway. No one. Silence. Her breath caught in her throat. And for a long moment, she stood still, staring at the open vault as if unsure whether to believe what she was seeing. Alexander's heart pounded. He watched as she approached, slowly, hesitantly. Her fingers hovered just over the stacks of money, then touched nothing. Instead, she reached for the cleaning rag tucked into her apron, and softly began wiping the safe's edge, careful not to smudge or shift a single bundle inside. She didn't count the money. She didn't glance around greedily. She simply wiped the dust off the steel with the same precision she used on every other surface in the mansion. And then something unexpected happened. Camila reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, folded photo, creased and old. She glanced at the hallway once more, as if needing to be sure she was alone, and placed the photo on the shelf next to the cash. It was a picture of 2 little girls, maybe 7 and 5, grinning in front of a hospital bed where an older woman lay smiling weakly. Camila whispered something so softly that even the hidden Alexander couldn't hear. Then, gently, she picked up the photo again, kissed it, and placed it back into her pocket. She closed the safe door. Alexander stepped back into the shadows, stunned. He wasn't sure what he had expected, a quick hand, a stolen bill, maybe even a moment of hesitation. But what he saw was reverence, pain, and love wrapped in restraint. He turned and walked away before she could see the tears forming in his eyes. That evening, Alexander couldn't sleep. He kept replaying the moment in his mind. The photo. The quiet kiss. The safe untouched. The weight of it all settled on his chest like a truth he hadn't prepared to confront. It was no longer about the test. It was about her. About the kind of character he had spent his life believing didn't exist. He realized he had judged everyone through the lens of his past wounds, and in doing so, nearly lost sight of the rare goodness standing quietly under his own roof. The next morning, Camila arrived to find a letter on the kitchen counter, addressed to her in Alexander's neat, heavy handwriting. Inside was a simple note: integrity is priceless. But so is peace. You've given me both. Your daughters and your mother deserve a life without fear. Please accept the enclosed without guilt. It's not a reward. It's a thank you. Attached was a check, blank, signed, and ready. Camila dropped into the nearest chair, stunned. Tears streamed silently down her face. Her hands trembled as she folded the letter to her chest. In that moment, she felt the weight she had carried for years lift just slightly. Her mother's treatment. Her daughter's school fees. The threat of eviction. It could all vanish. And not because she begged or stole, but because she had chosen to do the right thing when no one was looking. That weekend, Alexander visited her home for the first time. Not as an employer, but as a friend. He sat at the small wooden table, played with her daughters, and brought a folder filled with documents to help her purchase a new house in a safer neighborhood. He offered her a new position, head of domestic operations, full benefits, with a flexible schedule that allowed her to care for her family. But more than that, he offered something rare from a man like him: trust. Sometimes, the truest tests aren't passed with applause, but with quiet, unseen choices. Sometimes, the richest people aren't those with the fullest safes, but those who live in truth, even when no one is watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner.